What's up, athletes? Welcome to the Impact Effect, and this is Impact Athletics Association. I have a reaction video. I don't do too many, but if you like it, let me know and I'll do more. But subscriptions to the channel are free, so please take one and give one to somebody else so we can grow the channel. We have some wonderful content and a lot of good people here, but I digress. Let's get into this.
I worked so hard for that title.
The greatest moment of 16-year-old Clara Adams' young career taken away from her because of a celebration. After winning the 400-meter event at the CIF State Championships with a time of 53.24 seconds, her dream of winning a state title went up in flames after celebrating using a fire extinguisher.
When she blew the fire extinguisher, the opponents were gone. That was our moment of celebration, and the CIF officials made that about them. The crowd went crazy. They loved it. The booth, CF booth went crazy. They loved it. But those few guys in those jackets, they took offense to it, didn't like it, and they made a decision based on emotions.
The North Salinas High sophomore grabbed a fire extinguisher from her father and coach and extinguished off her spikes. The CIF deemed her celebration unsportsmanlike, stripping her of her title. It's a celebration made famous by American sprint icon Maurice Green, who enjoyed her paying homage to him and thinks she should get her state title back.
When I heard, because it happened and then people just started calling me, oh, this girl who just won the 400 redid your celebration. And I was like, huh, what? If it was away from everyone and not really interfering with anybody, I would say reinstate her.
One clear infraction was Clara's father hopping the railing onto the track after the race, but says he only did that because of how CIF officials were treating his daughter.
There's a CIF rule saying you can't come over the wall, you can't be on the infield, which is a rule respected. But at this point, I explained before about being a coach and a father wearing the different hats. I saw an official grab my daughter by the arm. They were yelling in her face. When he grabbed her by the arm, I went over the wall at that point. I'm father now. I'm not coach anymore. I'm over the wall.
Now, the true fastest 400-meter runner in the state is back home without a medal. And even if the CIF is to reinstate her as the champion, she never got that moment of being crowned a champion.
Even if everything goes in my favor, in regards to getting my title back, I'll still never get that moment back, standing on the podium as a sophomore. I'll never get that back because they took it from me.
Clara was also disqualified from competing in the 200-meter race because of that celebration. And we did some research, analyzed 20 years of state championships, found 0 other times where someone was disqualified and stripped of a title for unsportsmanlike conduct. We reached out to the CIF, haven't heard anything back. We also put up a poll on our Instagram, Dan, asking our viewers if they believed she should have been banned for this or not. Over 1,000 votes and counting, 87% of people saying she shouldn't have been banned for this. And the support from the community has been overwhelming so far.
And she's an immense talent, and she's only a sophomore.
Yeah, she's going to come back stronger and better than ever. They better watch out for Clara Adams.
Yeah, you bet. All right. Thank you very much, Jake.
Athletes, what are your thoughts when it comes to this young athlete being stripped of her championship for what was deemed to be unsportsmanlike? My personal thoughts are that governing board was not wrong. They have the right to make discerning decisions when it comes to what people do and how it may affect other people. So spraying that hose, that fire extinguisher, those things spread and it gets particulates in the air. You used to have other people that are competing or are going to compete. You can't have people breathing in that sort of thing just for that sort of moment that has nothing to do necessarily with the track meet itself. If you wanted to run outside of the track meet and do that, I'm sure that they wouldn't have minded. But there's so many things that seem like there are just rules that were being broken here. I'm not sure why, the fire extinguisher would have been needed to be brought in, but the fact that it was handed over to an athlete and the father was saying that they were saying that he couldn't go over the wall, well, rightfully so. So why would a fire extinguisher need to be out there? And if you have something like a fire extinguisher, it should be in the hands of those who are sanctioned and governed to protect the event and the grounds that it's held on. So I don't find that this is out of line. I don't think that this is an unjust punishment. I think what it was a selfish act. And going back to Maurice Green, if you guys know who he was a sprinter in the late 1990s, early 2000s. That's about the father's age. So it looked like, if I'm just guessing, I don't think that this girl really knew too much about who Maurice Green was. Maybe she is, maybe I'm wrong. But if I had to guess, this seems like something where the father said, hey, there's this old celebration, you could do this. Could be way off on that. But it just seems like that's not something that is that something that she would have done before. Is this her history of wanting to be self-adulating when it comes to winning? And that's the bigger point of all of this. Sometimes you just have to win with humility. A lot of times people are doing, especially in this day and age. Maurice Green did it before there was really like a social media, but now people will do anything for likes and views. And that's a hard place to put a lot of these boards to watch athletes do certain celebrations. I'm sure there's been dances. I'm sure there's been a lot of things that have been done, but this probably took it to a level where they had to. It's going to put them in a position where you have to do something now, draw a line, because if this gets away with it, the next person's going to do what? Bring a cheetah out there to chase them around the track to show that they're fast. I mean, there's so many things that you just don't want to let people keep doing in the name of, well, it's cruel if you don't let a child celebrate. She could have easily celebrated. She could have jumped up and down. She could have done a lot of things that I don't think would have been deemed as unsportsman. But when you start bringing in foreign objects and then doing things that can affect other people, I don't think that they got it wrong. And if I just had to even guess that, like I did earlier, that this was the father's doing, even if it wasn't, the second that this was, hey, Dad, I want to bring this fire extinguisher onto the thing and, and spray off my shoes like this guy did, this track meet. Maybe the father's never heard of it. Maybe I have it completely wrong. But in either case, the fact that he had it in his hand, went over and handed it to her, Dad, you kind of dropped the ball on this one. This was a moment, especially like he was saying as a track coach, that you should have put that coach and father hat on at the same time and said, we can't do this for this reason as an athlete and this reason as my daughter. I'm teaching you better values than this. And I'm sure that they have a wonderful relationship, all those good things, but you should have taught her in that moment from both sides, not just saying, well, I had to put my dad hat on once they grabbed my daughter. You set her up to be able to be grabbed or admonished publicly by a governing board once she did something like that. It's just unfortunate, but it's also a lesson that I hope really in time they both learn from. This is a learning lesson for everybody who is involved in it and everybody who watches it and everybody who wasn't there who got to see the aftermath like you and I. You have to just sometimes act like you've been there before. And if you haven't, still have the humility to be gracious in winning and accepting of the fact that it took a lot of hard work and a lot of other people were involved in your process. She took a lot of things away, or they took a lot of things away from that team and other competitors in that because of that moment. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to have to live with that. And hopefully they'll learn and grow from it. But guys, what are your thoughts on something like this? Because I don't think that the governing board was wrong. I think that Dad kind of dropped the ball in allowing this to happen. And if he was the facilitator, on some level he was, whether he brought the idea to her, she brought it to him. He should have said, I can't do that. I'm your dad. I'm also a coach and can't do that. That's not what we want to do. Maurice Green did it as a professional athlete, and it was something that was supposed to drive up ratings and revenue for everybody, and he was trying to embolden the sport of sprinting because at the time he wanted to be more paid and recognized like basketball and football players do, and that's just not track athletes. If you look at Noah Lyles today, he's complaining about Adidas not giving him a shoe. Nobody's copying the Noah Lyles shoe. Very few people would. Usain Bolt is the unquestioned GOAT of sprinting, and I couldn't tell you where to get his shoes. I might get a pair just because he's my favorite, but I couldn't tell you. Carl Lewis, same thing. Maybe they had a shoe, but nobody was checking for him the way they checked for Jordans, the way they were checking for other athletes who had their own shoes out. And mainly that revolves around basketball. Now, if you're a football player and there's a cleat, okay, cool. But most of the time it's just basketball, and then everything else is just like a running style sneaker or trainer. But it's not assigned to a particular athlete like that. Basketball is kind of the exception, maybe soccer. So she's doing this way before her time, and it's going to cost her. And rightfully so. Guys, we have to start teaching younger athletes better, younger people better, that everything should not be self-aggrandizing. Look at me, I'm going to do this for attention. No, teach them that when you do it, reflect on what it took for you to have gotten to the point where you can do that. The hard work pays off, but you also have to just have a little bit of humility and appreciation, not only for yourself, your accomplishments, but for the people around you as well. So again, I'm going to leave it at that, but please leave it in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on this. Let me know your thoughts on videos like this, and maybe I'll try to bring some more. But in the meantime, subscriptions are free. I said it before, so just putting it in there. And I hope this finds everybody in your place or pursuit of total health, mind, body, and soul. Guys, we will see you soon. And like we like to say here, HWPO, hard work pays off. And this is Impact Athletics Association.